MH370's disappearance remains one of aviation's greatest mysteries.
For 11 long years, the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 has remained one of the biggest mysteries in modern aviation. Families were left without answers, experts were left puzzled, and the world could only guess what truly happened in those final moments. But now, an underwater drone exploring one of the most remote parts of the ocean has uncovered new evidence that could finally shift the entire investigation. What it found has shocked researchers and reopened questions many thought were impossible to solve. And this time, the clues are clearer than ever. Join us in this video as we reveal what this new evidence could mean. The first glimpse beneath the silence. In early 2025, Ocean Infinity's newest fleet pushed into the Seahorse Zone, that lonely, almost mythic stretch of ocean where many experts believed the final answer to the MH370 mystery had been hiding for years. Their flagship, the Armada 7806, drifted over waters so deep they seemed endless. More than 6,000 meters below, there was only darkness, pressure strong enough to crush steel, and a silence untouched since the Earth first shifted into its modern form. Into that crushing quiet, engineers released a set of advanced autonomous underwater vehicles, machines designed to survive exactly where humans couldn't. Each drone slipped downward at a steady pace, its instruments waking up one by one as it entered a world of ridges, cliffs, and jagged valleys carved by millions of years of tectonic activity. For hours, the sonar feeds showed nothing but the soft, grainy texture of thick seabed sediment. Then something changed. One AUV caught a reflection that didn't match any natural formation. Analysts crowded around the monitors as the sonar image sharpened into a long, flat shape nearly 30 meters in length, half buried in the seafloor. A second sweep confirmed it, smooth, metallic, and unmistakably aligned with the dimensions of a commercial aircraft wing. The team checked the coordinates against the WSPR-derived path. The match was perfect. Excitement flashed across the control room, but everyone knew how dangerous false hope could be. They'd chased illusions before, rocks that looked like engines, shadows that mimicked man-made debris. To be sure, they deployed another drone outfitted with high-resolution imaging. This one flew straight over the target, and its synthetic aperture sonar revealed details no rock could imitate. Ribbed internal structures, torn metal edges, twisted panels frozen in time. And it didn't stop there. Within a 15-kilometer radius, the drone spotted two more anomalies, one resembling a fuselage segment, the other a tail assembly. The findings were classified instantly. Verification protocols kicked in. If these pieces were real, it meant something unthinkably important. The first identifiable wreckage from MH370 had been lying in a place no previous mission had ever reached. But before this new evidence, what was initially found that brought hope about the MH370 mystery? Keep watching to find out. When the ocean first spoke. For 16 long months, the Indian Ocean held its silence. No answers, no clues, nothing that could ease the ache of uncertainty. Then, on a quiet morning in July 2015, something finally changed. A man walking along the eastern shore of Reunion Island noticed a strange object tangled in seaweed. It was curved, nearly 2 meters long, and coated in barnacles. Its edges were torn and softened by months of drifting through salt water. Locals assumed it belonged to a fishing boat until aviation experts arrived. Within hours, the world heard a sentence many had stopped believing they'd ever hear again. The debris was a flaperon from a Boeing 777, and only one aircraft of that type was missing. After months of unbearable silence, the ocean had whispered its first truth. The discovery shook the investigation awake. Engineers examined the flaperon closely, studying how the hinges had snapped and how the metal showed fatigue marks from a violent, high-speed impact with water.
Nothing about its condition suggested a mid-air explosion. Instead, the shape and damage pointed towards a controlled but catastrophic descent. That one fragment shifted the entire search from theories to physical evidence. In Malaysia, the news spread with the force of a lightning strike. Families cried through press conferences, their grief reopened, yet sharpened with new clarity. Officials confirmed the find with solemn calm. Soon after, the flaperon was flown to France, where BEA, the French Air Accident Investigation Agency, launched a detailed forensic study. Technicians inspected every rivet and serial marking, tracing each one back to the aircraft's original manufacturing records. The conclusion was undeniable. The fragment belonged to MH370. Oceanographers stepped forward next, hoping to retrace the flaperon's journey. Using satellite data, they built simulations of Indian Ocean currents, modeling how winds, tides, and spinning gyrus could have carried the debris nearly 4,000 kilometers from a possible crash site to Reunion. It wasn't random drift, it was a path shaped by time and the ocean's restless motion. Soon, more pieces began emerging on distant shores. A section of the horizontal stabilizer appeared in Mozambique, a piece of the cabin interior washed up in Madagascar. Another fragment, believed to be part of an engine cowling, was found in Tanzania. Each item bore its own pattern of tears, bends, and salt scoring, each one a message from the deep. Together, they formed a fragile breadcrumb trail, scattered across half an ocean. Scientists from several countries worked together to trace these drifting clues backward. Powerful computer models ran thousands of simulations, adjusting for wind speed, sea temperatures, and even the Coriolis effect. Again and again, the paths pointed to the same place, a narrow corridor of deep ocean southwest of Australia, near an area already known as the Seventh Arc. It was a landscape of underwater mountains and trenches plunging more than 5,000 meters into darkness. For investigators, this was a breakthrough and a torment. The fragments proved the aircraft had met its fate, but they didn't reveal where the main wreckage rested. It was like finding ashes without knowing where the fire had burned. Still, the discoveries reignited pressure from the world. People demanded a renewed search. Behind closed doors, private companies began offering new solutions, machines capable of going where humans never could. Autonomous underwater vehicles, robotic explorers able to roam the seafloor for days without guidance, became the only realistic way to search terrain too rugged for traditional sonar. Governments hesitated, the cost was enormous, and the odds of success were small. But one determined group would eventually take the risk. By the end of 2017, the ocean had given fragments but not answers. Every piece that washed ashore felt like a challenge, urging humanity to go deeper. And as global patience thinned, a quiet alliance between advanced technology and relentless science was forming, one that would soon venture into the dark and reshape the search forever. As the deep revealed secrets, how did machines brave its depths? Stay tuned to find out more. The machines that challenged the deep. For 3 relentless years, the Indian Ocean defeated every effort to uncover MH370's fate. Ships crossed millions of square kilometers, dragging sonar equipment through violent seas, returning each time with nothing but static and shadows. But in 2018, everything changed. The search entered a new era, one not led by human endurance, but by machines built to survive where no person could. Ocean Infinity, a private Texas-based company, believed it could succeed where nations had failed. They arrived with something the world had never seen on this scale, a fleet of autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs, sleek torpedo-shaped robots capable of slipping into the abyss with silent precision. Unlike older systems that had to be towed slowly behind ships, these AUVs roamed freely, guided by sophisticated onboard computers. Each one carried multi-beam sonar, high-resolution imaging tools, and three-dimensional mapping systems. They could dive nearly 6,000 meters down into a world where sunlight is only a memory. At the heart of the operation was the Seabed Constructor, a ship built almost like a floating space station for the deep sea. From its open deck, engineers released the AUVs one after another into the freezing waters of the southern Indian Ocean. Ocean Infinity's deal with Malaysia was as bold as its technology, a no-find, no-fee mission. They would only be paid if they discovered the wreckage. It was a gamble, a test of both nerve and innovation. Each dive began with engineers programming coordinates into a drone's navigation system. The moment it submerged, the robot disappeared into the dark, sweeping the seabed in perfect grids. Every ping of the sonar painted a digital picture of the ocean floor, its ridges, cliffs, and plains, landscapes no human had ever laid eyes on. Data streamed back to the Seabed Constructor, where analysts worked through the nights, studying shapes and shadows that might finally reveal MH370. For weeks, the crew battled savage seas and unpredictable weather.